Good afternoon and welcome to this week's edition of Entrepreneurship Matters. My name is Alicia Wilson. I'm Vice President for Economic Development for Johns Hopkins University and Johns Hopkins Health System. It is my pleasure to welcome you to another exciting conversation with two amazing entrepreneurs in the bathroom space. This is a first for us, and you are going to be overwhelmed and inspired by these two amazing gentlemen. I'm going to invite them both to the screen. So Dr. Seetahal and Kamose Muhammad, please come on the screen, and I'm going to set us up for the show and we're going to launch right in. What we know is that successful entrepreneurs are not built in a day. It takes multiple failures, a lot of hard work, a long-term commitment to make it happen. And these two entrepreneurs that we're featuring today are no different. We started this conversation over 70 weeks ago with at the urging of an amazing young entrepreneur, Cameron Moses. I know she's watching. And we have continued this conversation with over 140 entrepreneurs. I am going to give both of their bios as they come on screen. So turn on their videos and come off mute. And then we're going to launch right into the conversation, which I promise you is going to be inspiring. So first, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Kamose Muhammad. He is the primary founder, chairman, and CEO of Freedom Paper Company, LLC, a Black-owned manufacturer of bathroom tissue and a master distributor of personal paper. Warren Cetaphil, light chemical, food service, and stationery products, having corporate offices in both Delaware and Maryland. He is charged with the chief responsibility for management of the company's administration, policy, finance, and personnel matters. He has served in leadership of UNIA ACL, the grassroots Black Power, Black nationalist organization founded by the Honorable Marcus Garvey, involving him in organizing of Black people and Black businesses and entities, furthering marshaling of interests for the betterment of economic conditions, increased economic growth, and vibrancy in the Black communities. Thank you for your service. Prior to founding Freedom Paper LLC, Mr. Muhammad served as managing member and corporate officer of various construction firms, operated as a licensed realtor with Century 21, was a freelance residential and commercial finance officer, and owner of his own property management company. He has lived 5 lives. And is quite accomplished, as you can tell. He is a native of Baltimore with 2 children and often relates to the story which his mother told him when he was 5 years old, when he said, "I want to be a businessman." Certainly fulfilled that journey. So welcome, Kamose, to Entrepreneurship Matters. So glad to have you today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. And greetings to everyone tuning in and listening this afternoon.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Dr. Warren Cetaphil. He has over 25 years of experience working with conglomerates and startups and has helped several companies strategically grow their business over years. He is the CEO of Silent Venus, where he brings his international experience and several talents from various business disciplines. One of his key achievements prior to joining Silent Venus, a high-quality toilet manufacturing company. You're going to be thrilled to learn more about this toilet manufacturing company because I think it's revolutionary. Was helping an entrepreneur build his business from $1,000 in revenue of growth with 3 employees to over 1.8 million revenue on over 75 employees. He believes that focus is power and is an avid fan and follower of Tony Robbins, great motivational speaker, of course. He has focused and mastered his passions to business structuring and development. He is a professional pianist, professional salsa dancer, and teacher, and he believes in discipline and in the power of planning. He currently holds the position of CEO and holds a PhD in finance and is considered the integrator in the company. Well, welcome as well, Warren, to Entrepreneurship Matters. So glad to have this conversation with you both today.
Thanks a lot.
Excellent, excellent. So for so many watching, the first question is, what inspired you to want to become an entrepreneur? And so I'm going to start with Kamose and say, what inspired you to want to be an entrepreneur? Kamose?
Yes, the signal dropped for a second. I didn't hear the question,
Oh,
but
no
I
worries.
heard
What?
you. I just heard you repeat
Okay, good.
it. So I think, as I said, or as my bio says, it's always been a part of who I am. At a very young age, I wanted to do things, and like most children, you see things, you want them, right? So at some point, your parents say to you, uh, sooner or later, you're gonna have to get a job. We're gonna have to get you a job. Well, for some reason, I think I took that literally, and I started actually looking for things to do. So I started creating work myself in my community, around my home, wherever I could begin to do things. Uh, by the time I became a teenager, I had literally found the job, started working in a construction field at that time, uh, went on, kept doing things like that, went into the military. And when I came home, um, there wasn't a lot of work I could get very readily. And so the spirit of entrepreneurism was always with me. And one day I was working for a power company in Virginia, and they offered a buyout due to the economic trends that were going on at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I prayed about it, talked to my family about it, and it wasn't a lot of money. But I remember hearing a sort of a parable that said sometimes that God doesn't necessarily swing open the door for you. Sometimes He cracks the door open,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to take a leap of faith. And so it was at that time I took that leap of faith and began my actually my second business, because I had a part-time cleaning business first, but the second business that took me full-fledged into entrepreneurism, where I commanded my own ship, so to speak, was a retail store. So that was my first business, and that's kind of how I ended up in this, being a serial entrepreneur today.
No, I love the story that you just related about and helping so many people who are watching who are like, I want a clear sign. And what you said is, you see, sometimes God will open up the door crack and see if you will walk through it. And I think that's just inspiring for people to recognize that part of the journey, these opportunities come and really seizing them. Amazing story. How about you, Warren? What sparked you to want to become an entrepreneur?
Well, let me answer this question and break it in two parts, because I'd like to talk about our founder, who is Emmaus Ferdinand, and then I can talk a little bit about myself as well.
Sure.
And it's interesting to know how he started up the Silent Venus, what took him there. And I saw a lot of similarities between what he did and what Mr. Muhammad did, which is Emmaus growing up, he always said to me, deep down inside, he just had that burning desire. He wanted to be an entrepreneur before even knowing what it was. He just wanted to own businesses. He wanted to grow, and he felt he always had the qualities and mindset, determination, etc. But he just never, knew what to do. He didn't even know exactly what it was. And he, after graduating school and working his first corporate job, after 3 years, he felt, well, I don't really fit in the status quo. I don't really like what's going on. I just don't feel me. I don't feel like me, right? And then he said, but he still didn't get pushed. Sometimes we have that pain and pleasure that we need to make us make those decisions, take that leap. And he felt like he needed a change, financially, and more freedom as well, not just financial, but more freedom in general. When the stock market crashed in 2008, a lot of people lost their jobs. He did not. But what happened in the company, he worked in a finance company. What happened in the company is that there was a lot more pressure, more work, same amount of people, more hours. And he felt after some time, he just didn't feel valued. And he said, you know what, there's got to be more. And that pushed him, that feeling of being undervalued, pushed him to take that leap of faith. And he started selling cars. As time passed, he opened his own car dealership. He wrote a book. He did some other things. Today, he's a serial entrepreneur. He founded Silent Venus after solving one of his own problems, and the rest is history. On my personal part, I'll just make it short. in essence of time. It was really just about, I also felt I didn't fit that status quo after many years in corporate.
Mhm.
And the big thing for me was that I just wanted freedom. And I don't
Yeah.
mean financial freedom. Money is not the driver for me. It's freedom,
Mhm.
right? To do the things that I love doing. As you heard in my bio, I love this and that, piano, the gym, dance, this, that, the other. I want time to do the
Yeah.
things that I love. That's what I'm looking for. And that's what drove me to take that path as well.
I love how you said that, because so many entrepreneurs talk about freedom, the freedom that comes with being an entrepreneur, being an owner. Beautifully stated, and appreciate you telling about the founder, because you're now a CEO in a company that was founded by another, which is a
That's right.
beautiful thing in the sense that you see the growth and the scaling of the business. So I'm gonna go back to Kamose and ask this. So what steps did you go through? You talk about being a serial entrepreneur. What steps did you go through in starting your business? And many on here, this is the time they take out the pad and the pencil and start taking notes on what you're saying, because you're going to drop gems to them. Um, what inspired you, and what steps did you take along that journey?
Well, for myself, and the reason I say I'm a serial entrepreneur is because I think part of the journey was trying to find out what exactly I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely wanted to be in business. As Warren mentioned, having freedom, the ability to sort of dictate in a larger way what your life is going to be about, something that was definitely in my spirit. But I was trying various different types of businesses. And so, initially I had a cleaning business, then retail stores. But when the retail stores happened, because some of that was involving communications, there was a change in the economic trajectory that was going on in that particular business. That led me into real estate. And so real estate was very, very good. For a good while, we did very well in real estate. Diversified into finance and property management as well. And then we know what happened with the great economic recession.
Mm-hmm.
And so it takes a lot of versatility to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And one of the things you want to do is certainly be able to navigate the journey along the way. And that kind of led us to Freedom Paper Company. And so Freedom Paper Company actually comes out of a Black think tank that was created around 2005. Things, but then later on, in roughly around 2010, we started really doing some heavy investigation about the economic condition of people of African descent, both in America and throughout the world. And based upon what we saw, which most people will generally say that there's certainly a need for more businesses in the Black community. So we know that. But the economic situation that we looked at throughout the world is one that certainly needs improvement throughout the world, even in nation states. So from the collapse, roughly 2008 collapse that took place, we noted that the paper goods industry was one that, but we also noticed that there was very little participation of African Americans in that particular industry. So we did a 9-month research study into that, and Freedom Paper Company was birthed.
That's really helpful to see how you shifted in different businesses, and then saw what was the void in the marketplace, right? That you could occupy, and then the research that you really embarked upon to be able to be informed as you made that leap into that industry. Helpful tips that you're giving for folks who are watching. How about you, Warren? So what are the steps that were gone through to start Silent Venus? But what also, and I know you are now CEO and the founder, taking over. What were the steps that you went through in becoming CEO of a company by a founder that's still associated with the business.
All right, so the steps that he took, so I'll take you through that journey from him forming that company to me taking the reins. And that really started, it's on our website, and I'll just make it short. He just got frustrated because he tried to install a toilet in his basement. That's basically what it was. And he could not. It was too costly. He had to break the walls. He had to install different things to get the water to move up because it's in a basement below sea level. And he just found it was pretty impossible unless he would spend so much money and spend so much time to get it done. And he started doing research on his own. And he found a way to do it by putting different products that were already in the market together to achieve that goal. Once he sorted it out and he was able to install that toilet below sea level, no breakage, he did it himself, didn't need a plumber, didn't need technical support, didn't cost a lot, installed it within a couple of hours. Once he had all the pieces together, he said, maybe other people have this problem as well. And he took about a month of research trying to find manufacturers of the products, of the pieces, of the parts that would make the exact item that he built. He found a couple manufacturers, he built a relationship, and I would say in about 6 weeks, he placed his first order and he decided, he asked himself the question, because good things come from good questions. Where can I test my idea and see if other people have the same problem? And he found that doing it on Amazon was a very low cost, low overhead approach, which he did. He put it up on eBay, but it really took off on Amazon. And he did everything for 2 years. So he was chief cook, bottle washer, as they say. I'm sure Mr. Muhammad, knows that because he kind of hinted that. And then once he reached 100,000 in revenue, he had his first customer service person. And he started working on, that is, EMEA started working on some other products. And a couple of months later, we connected. And I started helping him build his ideas out, grow that. And this year, we've done over $1 million in sales, just growing on that toilet.
Huge. Couple of great gems. Congratulations, both of you. Congratulations and well done on just the tremendous amount of growth in both of your businesses. Couple of gems you put out there around this. One, you started from a need. So he started from a real need, a need to install a toilet, right? And most of the entrepreneurs that I interview, they talk about their own pain point, which actually gives birth to something really powerful. So really important point. Second, did a research on the supply chain, because you talked about research on the component parts. So what goes into the build of what you're creating? And then really thinking about over time, moving from Amazon. So what allows for you to not have to have what is the easiest way to get to market, right? And so you use Amazon, but then you're able to branch out, right? So you did it in stages and phases of your business. So just important gems for us to talk about. I want to get to this because I don't know if people really recognize how huge you both are in the bathroom industry. And also those of us who work with supply chains within corporations, those of us who are consumers, maybe we tried to replace our toilet, maybe we want a different bath tissue. What is it, the gambit of what you sell, and what is the gambit of your business? So I want to give you both that opportunity. So Kamose, can you tell us what's the gambit of your business? What are all the things that you sell? What are all the things that you could supply potentially to a corporation or to a consumer?
Well, we started off in 2011 with bathroom tissue, which we consider to be our founding product, the Freedom brand bathroom tissue. And the big thing about that we wanted to do was we saw two things. Number one, we could tell what the market was offering. And at that time, generally what people consider to be a large roll of tissue for your home was 350 sheets. So that was number one. And we then introduced a 500 sheet product for your home. We knew that was severe because when we first told people, they would ask us questions like, is that going to fit? Is it going to fit in my house? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. It just froze a bit. And then, but many of our customers begin to quickly tell us that, even though they love that particular product, there were so many more things that they needed, and they need to be able to source those products from one or two vendors. So we began to diversify our product lines. And so today we have over 1,500 different products in 5 major categories. Those categories include paper products for both home and commercial use, what is called Jan Sand, or the janitorial side, cleaning products. That would include all of your PPE materials, such as gloves and masks and such, as well as your school cleaning materials, your mops, buckets, and brooms, your trash can liners. All of those sorts of things would be covered in the cleaning or Jan Sand part. Then you have office supply, which is copy paper, file folders, writing pads, etc. You have restaurant supply, cafeteria supply, so school food trays and plates, knives, forks, spoons, all of those things. And then we have an ongoing development of personal care. Now, this is where we began to manufacture more products, because we actually do produce the Freedom brand bathroom tissue ourselves. That's our product. And by the way, there's a poisonous chemical in bathroom tissue that a lot of people don't know about called dioxin. Dioxin is part of the manufacturing process normally, but your Freedom brand bathroom tissue does not have dioxin. And so many of our products in the personal care line are products that are free of toxin. Our laundry detergent, our fabric softener that we produce, free of toxins. Then there's soaps and mouthwash. And we'll be bringing a mouthwash soon back to the market in about 30 days. There are toothpaste that we sell, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, everything a person would use in their home or their business, Freedom Paper Company has pretty much the assortment of everything you use.
Excellent, excellent. I mean, just to see the variety and scale of your work. And let me just tell everybody, Kamose is on a train. And we are so thankful that, because he's a businessman. But everybody, all of our entrepreneurs are business folks, and we respect the fact that they are on the move. So thank you for doing this on the train as well. But you're coming through great. But just to see the range, because people are on here thinking about, how can I integrate his products in my supply chain? How could you just gave a whole range from the personal to the commercial to the office supply. So thank you for I want to give that opportunity, because I know that there are buyers on watching. So how about you, Warren? What's the range of you started with toilets, but these aren't just regular toilets, because some of them are extremely special in terms of just like the innovation and the technology that is a part of them. So can you talk a little bit about the range of the products that Silent Venus offers?
Okay, so just starting or continuing from where we left off last time when we spoke about the problem that Emil solved for himself. We that's our flagship product, and again, that's where we started off with this toilet that could be installed anywhere, small spaces, no extra cost. That's really the key that drove a lot of our sales. And of course, we kept prices lower than all the competition, and the quality was the same. Our biggest competitor is Saniflo, and we are cheaper, same quality. So people move to us. Of course, just before I get to that product, the biggest thing we believe in is customer service. It's pleasing the customer no matter what. And we truly believe in it, and we live by it. But we make all our decisions for our products based on our vision. Every product we bring online has to be part of our vision. If we can't classify it within that, we won't use the product or sell it. So that vision is to improve our generation's bathroom experience by focusing on all aspects of the elimination of waste matter from the body. So now you can understand the products that we've brought in. So we've brought in that macerating toilet with that technology, a 1-piece and a larger 2-piece. We've brought in bidets that help with cleanliness and elimination of the waste matter from the body. We've helped with motion lights that work with improving your ability to fall back asleep when you go to the bathroom at night, right? So it's health, because, you know, if you switch on the light, the science tells us that your body thinks that you're ready to awake. By having a motion light sensor that's placed in the toilet, when you get near to the toilet, it turns on, senses that motion. It's very dim with that blue light, and you use the toilet, you get back to sleep easier. What we've also been doing is, again, thinking about the customer, passing on the benefits to the customer. And we are maybe encroaching a little bit in Mr. Mohammed's space, right? Or maybe we could do business together, but we are
Collaborations, joint ventures.
exactly. We have like a flushable wipe that we're offering, so that, and that works with our macerating toilet. It's flushable, so it doesn't damage the blades, gives you longer life on the blades. And we have a 1 month descaler product. Now, by using those and being on subscription with those, we're giving you a lifetime warranty on the toilets. No questions asked. You keep a subscription and maintain the health of your toilet, you have a lifetime warranty on that. Some other products that we're adding that deal with elimination of waste are really just like colon cleansers, keto diet products. And of course, we have something that I'm limited to speak about, but it's a health toilet. It's something you would want to listen to in the future. We're in the patenting process and developing from the first prototype, but this will tell you about the status of your health when you use the toilet. So that's going to be something very, very breakthrough in the next 9 to 12 months that we release. That's about it.
I can't tell you how inspiring it is to hear both of you talk about, about your product, but also talk about the growth and the innovation in an industry that has been almost the same, stagnant for decades. And that you two Black men entrepreneurs are just leaders in the field. Just really exciting to hear about. I want to take us into a couple of the questions that have been posed by those watching on Facebook. And oh, I forgot to tell you all this. Those of you listening on the phone, you can still participate this week. Type 22333 and type JHUWL in the message. You can text in your questions or your comments, and I'll make sure to get them woven into the conversation. Those in Zoom, feel free to put your questions as I see them coming in the chat. And those on Facebook, continue to put them in the comments. So I'm getting all the questions, and I'm going to weave them into this conversation. One of the questions that has come up is about capital raise. And we talk a lot in the space of businesses and entrepreneurs and small businesses going to medium and large corporations about the capital raise. How we received this question in a number of different formats, but how did you approach the capital raise for your business, and how have you been able to raise capital over time? Many people have that question. So Kamose, start with you.
So yes, well, first and foremost, I did what a lot of people would do, which is you start with, at least some of your own money. And in fact, whether you go to a bank or a non-traditional lender, et cetera, they're generally going to want to see that you have some skin in the game, as they say, that you're invested in yourself. So number one, you have to be willing to stake your own business, your own ideas, your own drives, your own motivation. People want to see that you're serious. Because I have a background in finance as well, I was able to also put together a private placement, which allowed for some investors to look at the business early on. We were able to put that together and raise a small amount of capital to really get the ball rolling and get some of the equipment and machinery and so forth that we needed. But I think it's important for all entrepreneurs to know, realize that whether you're a small business or a Fortune 500 company, all businesses need capital. It's an ongoing reality. In fact, when you look at some of the largest companies in America, let's just take Amazon, for example, it's been mentioned here, not really make a profit for 20 years. Yeah. And so when small business people hear that, they wonder, how can somebody stay in business and not make a profit for 20 years? Well, they of course have investors. And
right.
if their investors believe in their mission, believe in their company, and they continue to invest, even though they weren't seeing returns. And so, as a small business, though, if you're not a public company, you have to find a number of ways to continue to finance your business, because even after you get started, you need working capital, you need growth capital. With every measure and continued element of growth of the business, capital is going to be something that's needed. So one of the things, first and foremost, I say is that whatever hats you wear in your business, as Warren said, when you start off, you might be wearing them all, but at some point you want to start handing off some hats too. But I think as a CEO, one of the primary responsibilities is finance. You may have a CFO in your company, but as a CEO, you're concerned about the bottom line. You want to know that the company is going to be successful. So you want to begin to integrate yourself into some study of finance, a number of the different products on the market, and there are quite a few. All of them are not as attractive in terms of interest rates and things of this sort, but all of the different things that we've seen since 2008, and combined with a lot of entities in Wall Street becoming wealthy, have created nuances, if you will, for business lending, business loan. So there are a number of products on the market that small business people can look into. Always be careful, always be cautious, look at what you're doing. But as one of my good friends told me one time, I asked about a loan with the interest capital. He said, actually, business tomorrow to me was things that are tough, but you do it with the big. So always be advanced, and that sooner or later, there's going to be a need for
No, you were going in and out a little bit, but I caught what you were saying, which is around really having the patience, but also the perseverance to continue to push through as you are on that capital build journey. So really helpful. How about you, Warren? How did you finance and build capital in the business?
Well, I think, I could save us a lot of time and say Mr. Muhammad said it all, right? But let me see if I can add something here. Now, he said something that really caught my attention. As a CEO, business owner, cash flow is such an important thing. It's one of the most important things you have to look at: cash flow in, cash flow out. I always tell people in operations, your job is manage the margins and manage the cash flow, because you just have to have that. And there's so many pieces that come into that puzzle. But again, just to build on what he says or confirm on what he says, getting capital, people need to feel and see that you have skin in the game. That's where it starts. And you could have a financial background like Mr. Muhammad, you don't have to, but if they see that you believe in your idea and that you're going to put skin in the game, your time, your money, etc., they'll probably be willing to lend, and provide something maybe for an exchange in equity if you're willing to give it up at that stage, or an exchange, or some sort of repayment with, hopefully you look for some moratorium where you could, get some leeway on paying back immediately or starting payment terms immediately. However, one of the things that we found is after Emmaus invested some of his own money in this business and we started on Amazon, once we showed some small progress, nothing really big, good progress on Amazon, we started getting offers. And this was really surprising to me in this day and age. There are so many resources. In the past, growing up, I just thought you gotta be a big company to get money, right? And to get help. And I realized that, lately, over the last couple of years, that's absolutely not true. There are an amazing amount of resources that you could find. For example, we were on Amazon doing a little bit, boom, we get an email. And some are spam, some are people that are trying to fool you that say, hey, give me 1,000, give me 10,000, and we will, I see Mr. Alman laughing, right? we will get you $1 million, we're great with this, with that. But if you check them out and you know what to look for, who the scammers are. But we found companies that wrote to us. Shopify Pay gave us some options. We got written from Clearco, companies like Payability, and we actually took their loans. We got a 30,000 loan that we could use for marketing, and we used that to grow our Amazon business. We got a little bit from Payability, and it was at 6%, right, APR, and that's good.
Yeah.
Right. And they took payment. I mean, the pay terms were a little hard. There's always that balance, net payment terms versus interest rates, etc. But we got that really well. And from that, we were able to then go to traditional banks, showing our cash flow, a business plan, someone who believed in the business, talking to these business banks, and we got 2 full service loans that were 150,000 each.
Wow.
At very low interest terms. And this was just really our third year of real business.
Yeah.
And we felt, we felt that was a great achievement. But there is one other part I'd like to talk about, and that is there is what people call free money. Of course, there's strings attached to everything, but I would always advise young entrepreneurs to go after the grants. They're the Black business grants that Amazon provides, and there are tons of resources that you could get from Alice, ALICE, right? And some other groups. Urban Awareness can help you with that. You can just apply. And I would always say schedule 4 hours every week to apply for grants and loans. Just have it in your calendar and keep applying, even if you don't need the money. At least keep those people in your role, keep those relationships going.
No, you're so right. And the pursuit of capital it takes consistency, which is what both of you have said, right? The sticking to it, not allowing for the no's to be complete barriers, or and really pushing through and looking through the complement. And you mentioned something that leads me to my next question, which has been posed to us from those watching, which is about marketing. And you talked about using capital to market to gain more customers. How have you, and I'll start with you, Kamose, how have you used marketing? What have been some of the marketing techniques? How have you approached marketing as an entrepreneur?
Freedom Paper Company, we say that we are new paradigm reality. And so we didn't do things sort of, I guess you could call it the traditional way. As a business, we certainly want to make money, but we don't see ourselves as a per se capitalistic business. We see ourselves more as a communal entity or communalist kind of business reality, because we are also integrated into community. We believe that we're part of the ecosystem that contributes to and helps society at large, right? And so we didn't just go and seek to be in a store, as many may have done, and maybe in some cases that's the easier way to do it. We sort of took what we call the uphill road. And so we have utilized, and I think entrepreneurs today have a big benefit in technology. There's a lot of technology, of course, we know about social media, but there are numerous technologies today that offer the opportunities to market in ways that never could be done before. It used to be radio and TV. And if you didn't have the funds for radio and TV, you were pretty much locked out of the ability to market. So we've been able to, and been blessed to organically grow in using technology. People have begun to know who Freedom Paper Company is. And that's one of the biggest challenges of any new business is getting known, right? People have to get to know you even exist. So even today, 10 years later, people sometimes say, I never knew you existed. So that just means we have a big market to go after.
Great.
Well, as necessarily tapped into, so the dollars there, statistically, and we know this, are not necessarily circulating in the same ways that other dollars are. But we have now a big market that we have the opportunity to begin to change that tide. And so those are some of the things that we've used to innovate in marketing.
Love it, love it, love it. And how about you, Warren? How have you approached marketing?
In the initial stages, low cost, no cost. Again, social media, as
Low
Mr.
cost, no
Mohammed
cost. I
mentioned,
love it. That's a new
low cost,
slogan.
no cost. Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. Something froze. Is it me?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Right. Yes. So low cost, no cost, and in the initial stages. Then moving a little forward, as we start, again, Amazon's a great platform. You get easy marketing on that. But as you begin to grow more on Amazon and more outside of Amazon, as you get a little funding, my approach is, and I think CEO's approach is, hire someone in every position that's smarter and more capable than you are in that position. So what we did is just found someone that's smarter than I am and better than I am at marketing, and put that person to grow that. Simple as that.
Very smart approach. Always put the smart people in their expertise and allow for the great things to happen. Excellent. Now I know why our Wi-Fi is acting a little crazy, because Oprah I'm confirmed that Oprah is watching at this point in the show. So we are gonna hold on. There's no more Wi-Fi issues while we ask this question about Oprah, which is what can individuals who are clearly institutional investors, maybe investors at a different level, also us as consumers, right? So everyday folks like myself, how can we be supportive of your businesses? What are 2 or 3 things you would say that would be a difference maker to support businesses like ours, and to ensure that we continue to thrive and multiply in our community? So what are 1 or 2 things, Kamose, what would you say?
Well, one of the big things that we've concentrated on is knowing that, again, our products are those that are used everywhere. There's not a business, there's not a home that doesn't use our products. And it's kind of simple, in fact, in that from a consumer standpoint, it's simply utilizing your dollars at one place versus another. You're going to buy bathroom tissue somewhere.
That's right.
And obviously there are different likes and that people have one thing versus the other. That's why there are literally thousands of brands on the market. But at the same time, the diversity of products that we offer certainly give anyone the opportunity to give us a try. If there's something you care about in terms of environment, if you care about community, Freedom Paper Company is the company you want to choose. If you're a business person, and especially with local businesses here in the Maryland area, but throughout, we have and I didn't mention that earlier, but we have a logistical format where we United States to 48 continental states, so with no problem. And one of the big things we did build was our logistic blueprint floor plan. So, but if you are a business and you need any of these supplies, do yourself a favor and give smaller businesses the opportunity. You will see that we work very diligently. And this is not to take anything from anyone, but I deal with companies larger than ours all the time. But we have to work a lot harder. Warren said it earlier, customer service is what we concentrate on, because we know we have to keep that customer happy. We work very diligently to do it. We're going to go the extra mile, far more so than others might do. So I think the biggest thing is simply giving us the opportunity, opening some doors so that we can participate in some of the larger projects that take place. If your company is spending $1 million on any of these goods, 1 or 2 selections of product lines makes a big difference to a smaller company like ours. So I think it was just simply concentrating on seeing where a niche could be open, where an opportunity could present itself, certainly gives us the opportunity to perform.
No, I appreciate that, because that's helpful to all of us who are at varying different levels of influence and buying power, right? So as a consumer, choosing who buy from, but those of us who are in institutions, you don't have to add to the bottom line. Diversify the number of suppliers that you're utilizing. So great points, really great advice for all of us. Oprah, I know I haven't seen her in the chat, but I know she appreciates those comments. How about you, Warren? What would you say? What are the things that we at whatever purchasing power, influence, consumer power, what can we do to support businesses like yours?
I would say, from a consumer standpoint, when the need arises to buy one of our products, again, purchase it. But one of the things that we build on is customer reviews that we get on Amazon, that we get through our Trustpilot, that we get on, that people believe when they see. And the more good reviews that we have, the easier, the more profitable we become. We get more sales, it's easier to market, marketing costs go down, etc. And I think that's one of the big things that consumers can do. In terms of corporations, as Mr. Muhammad again said, so I'll just steal it from him. If they give us the opportunity to provide in large quantities some of the products that we sell, that would also add to the bottom line to make things a lot more. And of course, we give back by, you buy volume from us, we'll give you a big discount as well. So
Discounts coming.
Hand in hand.
Discounts
Exactly.
coming. Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. You're so right. And I would say, I think this, what you both of you just said was so important, because whatever, being conscious of where your dollar goes and recycling it as much as we can within the local community, within our community, so critically important to the health and wellness of our community. Amazing thing. So you both are big successes, right? You have accomplished so much, although I'm going to claim your best days are ahead of you. So you haven't even seen your summits. But what has been some of the highest moments? What's been some of the greatest accomplishments that for you as entrepreneurs and on your entrepreneurship journey? And Kamose, I'd love to hear from you first, and then Warren.
I think one of the biggest things for me is that I've had the opportunity to do various different things. So, by the grace of the Most High God and the ancestors, I've been able to work in finance, work in a lot of things. That thing as well, I've been able to touch our community. We've been able to do youth training with entrepreneurship, teach young people how to be in business. We've developed programs for schools that not only raise funds for schools. You know how schools, when I was growing up, it was just candy bars, right? But you can do a number of things now for school fundraisers. So we've actually developed programs for schools. We have developed situations where for some of our youth in particular, and others who may have found themselves in trouble at one point, found difficulty in being hired. We gave them opportunities to come in and learn, come in and experience what it's like to work. For the first time, I had young men, 28, 29 years old, who told me they had never even had an opportunity, and they thanked me and thanked us for being able to just have an opportunity. So, those are some of the rewards I think you get from being an entrepreneur, from being in business. And of course, the freedom to really set your own course. I think every entrepreneur knows that that's one of the reasons they do it, because you have the ability to make things happen. And it's important in this world to be able to do that.
Yeah, no, beautifully said. And that's going to lead me to my question as a follow-up, because you just said something that really, we have a question in the chat, but really raised a great point about your greatest accomplishment being the people, and how is that growing with you over time. Warren, how about you? What's been greatest accomplishment thus far?
I think, well, just before I get to me, just because I think I owe it to Emmaus to say what his greatest accomplishment is, again, from taking this path, is really graduating university in 3 years. Why? Because it takes 4 years, and because he failed high school, and he just made up his mind, this ain't gonna happen again.
Yeah.
Right. And he was able to do that, joining the fraternity Kappa Alpha Psi in Morgan State and all those sorts of things. He just felt, I'm just going to make it happen. And he felt that
you
was
just set off a whole call. You just did a whole call and response in the chat. So go ahead, keep going. You can name
I
the
see.
Kappas.
Right. And then he felt that going along that journey, looking at his mother and the sacrifices she made, bringing them over to the US and all the things that she had to do, as an immigrant, etc. He felt, no, I have to give back. And that was his driving force. And he felt like, although there's so many other accomplishments we could speak about on his part, he felt that once he became a successful entrepreneur and he was able to buy her house and take her on vacation, that was just giving back to his mother was the greatest thing he's ever done. And he doesn't think he would surpass that. Right. So that's from his part. I think, personally, from my part, what I've really loved, I think I started off early in the conversation saying money never drives me, but helping others does. And so I connect with Mohammed on that, Mr. Mohammed on that, because I just love having the position in a company where I could hire people, bring them into that realm and change their lives, not just by giving them a salary that they deserve without wondering, well, we're bringing someone from this country or that country and we pay them less. We pay equal. Right? Equal opportunity. What you bring to the table, you get paid. So if you're from the Philippines or Bangladesh or wherever, or Maryland or wherever else, you're getting the same pay. That's one thing I love, that part that I'm able to do. And not only help them become financially independent, but bring them into that culture of finding that work-life balance. Not I'm working 30 hours, but you work 90 and we'll all be happy. No. Everybody gets that same, hey, we're not doing more than 40 hours a week. If it's happening, come speak to me, let's find help. And that's one of the greatest things I've felt that I've done personally.
Excellent points. Let me ask you this, because you both talked about talent as a part of the
Ladies and gentlemen,
what's the greatest, how have you been able to attract talent to you? And I'm gonna start with you, Warren, because I know they're making announcements, Kamose, but how did you build your team? Because we get to see you as CEOs and founders. How have you gone about building the team that support the vision, support the mission of the organization? A number of people have asked that in many different ways.
Okay, so building the team, attracting the right talent is really about what I look at, aside from all the steps that everyone knows, where to advertise, where to post this in newspapers, online and here, there, everywhere. Those are the easy things. What I think is the most important thing in finding the talent is after they pass the resume stage, okay, so this person knows this for this position, that's the easy part. It's really, I see it as a very, very different exercise. And it's really one, whoever that person's going to report to, they've got to connect. And so you have 1, 2, or 3 interviews. And we kind of use a modification of top grading, which was introduced in GE. I forgot the guy's name, Jeff Smart, I think, and he wrote some books about it. So anyone can look that up. We use a slight modification of that process. So it's thorough, but we make our interviews fun and different. And we want to make sure that 3 things that are really important that come to mind. 1, they can get along with the person they're going to report to. That's so key. Once you have all the hard skills, it's the soft skills that make the difference in my mind. 2, does that person fit the culture? Does that person fit our culture in our company? And I would tell them what it is and try to find out how they work and ask them the questions that would make me feel, that they do fit that culture. And then I always use one phrase to every single person. And I ask every manager in the company, if it's large, I want you to ask that person this. And I'd like you to say, hey, we believe here that you can tell me anything you want. You could tell me you're the best driver, but I want to see you drive. So I'm giving you a month to prove to me that you can drive. And that's what we do.
I love it. I love how you approach talent acquisition. Kamose, how about you? How do you approach building that winning team that you have assembled?
I remember reading a book a long time ago called From Good to Great. And in that particular book, it talked about ensuring that you have the right people on the bus, right? So having the right people on your team is crucial. And I think Warren said it very well when he had talked about synergy, right? You want synergy between people who are working together because that keeps that team flowing, that keeps it rolling. When things get a little tough, a little tight, somebody's having a bad day or whatever the case may be, we're all human beings. So, things will take place. So having synergy is key. And then I think we take an approach to look for talent, maybe where talent isn't normally sought, right?
Yeah.
So we're looking for talent everywhere. And we don't bar people simply by, let's say, the normal norms of you, etc. We look for combinations of things. So a person could have some combination between education and work experience. All of those things great assets. And so when they're often willing to work because and give you and show you. And again, I'll take what Warren said again. I'm looking to see that you can actually do what your resume or what you've told me you could do. So I think the proving ground of that is big. But I think thinking out of the box in terms of where you find people and finding the right people is key.
So critically important. I love how both of you put it. I know your resume says you can drop it. I'm going to give you a month to show me that you can do it. And to your point, Kamose, going and finding talent in the places where it isn't tapped, right? And so, there's traditional places and forums in which we find talent. What we know is that talent, some of the best talent is in these places where others don't look. So I love how you talk about the blend of experience and education, and that really being the byproduct of the work. Let me give you both a moment because people are asking this many different ways. They want to purchase. I know my brother probably is like, I don't want to replace another toilet unless it's Silent Venus. And I know the other parts of the family is saying, how can I buy Freedom paper? But no, seriously, we are having a lot of people ask this. So how can people get in touch with you? How can they purchase from you? How can they purchase wholesale from you? So Kamose, tell us about that. How can we get in touch with you?
I'm glad you mentioned wholesale just now. We actually have building other businesses. We have a Entrepreneurship program that we run almost since the company started. And so we actually have licensees or distributors that are located in various parts of the country. So you could definitely get in touch with us about the licensee program. For wholesalers like stores and et cetera, we do a robust wholesale program where you can buy product at discounted prices depending upon the volume. And of course, you can reach www.company.com. That's our website, www.company.com. And you can contact us also at 855-496-8458. And we do some things for local companies because you're close by. We're doing a lot of things with shipping. We know that shipping has become a major item in the marketplace, if you will. Some of us have become quite spoiled with shipping. I have to say this though, shipping is not free. Even though we give it to you for free.
Very expensive.
It's not free. In fact, it's one of the largest costs, probably for many of us on the e-commerce kind of platforms. Shipping is actually one of the largest costs that continually increases every single year. So, but we do make it feasible for parties to be able to do all kinds of discounts, and we run all kinds of sales all the time. So you can get in touch with us in any one of those ways. Again, 855-496-8458 or www.freedompapercompany.com.
Excellent. So we have all the .coms and the phone numbers for Freedom Paper Company. Warren, how about you? How can we get in contact with you at Silent Venus?
Well, I think the easiest way is to go on to silentvenus.com. The prices are lower than the prices you'd see on Amazon. We do have specials. You would see them there. And on that site, you would get customer service numbers, sales numbers, executive numbers, and you also have a chat that you can speak with that's on that site where you could, if you want volume discounts, you would get an answer within a minute.
Excellent. And you're also on IG and Facebook at Silent Venus.
That's correct.
At Silent Venus. So everybody, you can go on there and find them. Let me just say, it has been an absolute pleasure to interview both of you. Again, you both are inspiring. but also motivating for so many of us who want to make sure that businesses like yours continue to thrive and multiply in our communities across the country. So I thank you both for the work you do, but also thank you for spending time with me this afternoon and telling us your entrepreneurship journey. I really appreciate it. Let me give a couple of announcements as we wrap up. We will return next week. We have two entrepreneurs in the music industry, Joe Wesley of Inkwell Recording Studios and John Tyler of John Tyler Sounds. It will be the sweetest sounding Entrepreneurship Matters you ever heard. Follow us on JH Connects on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We're going to thank our partners, Johns Hopkins University, Johns Hopkins Health System, Hopkins Local, the Mayor's Office of Small Minority Women-Owned Business, as well as Bloomberg Philanthropies and Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Kamose. I appreciate both of you.
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate you.